Well, Greece's parliament passing sweeping austerity measures in a deal to get billions in a bailout from the IMF and the ECB. You have Greek people rioting on the street. The big question, what does this mean for the U.S., for the global economy in this perilous time? Let's bring in Carl Weinberg, chief economist of High Frequency Economics. Thanks for being here, Carl. Appreciate it. You've been writing about this in your notes daily, and what you've suggested is a plan similar to the Brady Plan of 1989. Go into a little bit what you think needed to happen here.
Well, the Greeks need to restructure their debt to make their repayment stream affordable. They owe too much money. They can't pay it back on the terms on which they've borrowed it. So we need to stretch out their repayment scheme over 20, 30 years, maybe even more, so that they can make their payments. Just like what happened to an individual, it was overextended on their credit cards. The credit card companies might give them a longer term to pay it back.
So I think the real question here, at least from what I'm seeing, is no real fundamental restructuring of Greece's debt or of the way that country operates and the way that they look at their economic situation. There are a lot of folks that say even given this, given the market reaction, the early reaction to this, we knew that this was really what the vote was going to be, and we knew that Greece was likely going to get rescued. Isn't this just still kicking the can down the road?
Well, Greece still has to fix its public finances. To stick with the credit card analogy, the credit card company would certainly want you to stop borrowing from all sources before they gave you this kind of a restructuring. The Greeks have to do the same thing. They have to get their fiscal house in order. So it's a multiple-step process. But what happened today in the Greek parliament is that they passed measures toward that austerity, measures that will give them a chance to get their fiscal house in order, and measures that will get them an emergency injection of cash so that they don't miss any payments on their debts. That's most important.
What needs to happen next, though? Let's forget the short term here and look at the long term, the implications for Spain, broader Europe, and obviously how that trickles into the United States. What needs to happen here for this not to be another Lehman moment for the global economy?
Well, it would be nice if the Greeks could set an example for Portugal, for Spain, and for other countries of being able to pull their belts in to take hard and painful decisions and to get done what has to be done on their public finances, and thus set up conditions under which their public finances will be balanced in the longer term. I think if Greece takes the lead, the market will see that it's possible to fix these countries. The market will regain confidence, and that's really important. If Greece falters, then they're just going to fall back into the hole again, and that's going to make people doubt that Portugal or Spain or Ireland are viable propositions.
Given the state of the situation right now, how large do you think that the risk is for Germany's banks, for France's banks, and just for the broader Eurozone?
Well, right now we've bought ourselves 3 months. That's really the bottom line. We've given Greece enough money to get through its summertime payments at least until August. Now Greece has to perform and deliver the goods, deliver the fiscal reform, and then they'll get the next dose of money. But we're never more than 90 days away from a new crisis because every 90 days Greece will be reviewed. And should they falter or fail in any way, then we will see them back in exactly where we are right now.
So, given that this is a short-term solution, do you think that it would have possibly been a wiser option long-term in terms of setting examples to allow Greece to default, just like the U.S. government allowed Lehman to fail?
Oh, no, I don't think that would be a good idea at all. I think that would put the European banking system at risk, and systemic risk in the banking system, as we learned with Lehman Brothers,
but doesn't it need to be at risk? At some point, don't you need to say you can't operate your country like this? And, some would say Greece, relatively speaking, much smaller economy than if we were talking about a Germany, for example.
Well, I think that Greece is fixable. I think that while it has borrowed too much money, it's not an irrecoverable situation, and we can have a restructuring of their debt in an orderly way that will make Greece able to repay its debts and not threaten the financial system. That's the name of the game here. The name of the game is to not threaten the financial system, to get through a really serious challenge. I think we can do that with Greece. And we can debate all day whether we should have done that with Lehman's, but we saw that leaving Lehman's go bankrupt was, at the end, had very catastrophic consequences for the world financial system.
What about the impact here on money market funds? I mean, no one really cares unless we see money markets break the buck, which we saw, a few years ago. However, you've got such low rates here in the U.S., you've got that money in money markets pouring over into Europe and elsewhere. What do you see the risk as in terms of the Greece situation on money markets here?
Well, for right now, we're okay. The real question is, when does the market perceive that another default is going to be coming? When will they get scared again? Because banks that are scared about their balance sheets don't lend money. For the time being, I think that the banking system is now going to breathe a sigh of relief and say, okay, we don't have to worry about failing today because of Greece. We can now move on to other business and hopefully get back to the business of making prudent loans to the borrowers.